It's relatively accurate.
Exactly. Obviously not when they're like fully in heat and it gets really intense.
Oh my God. It looks painful.
Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg Podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our savage take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello.
Testing.
Tasting.
Hello. How you going?
I'm going.
Are you going good?
Good.
What's new, Rose?
I don't know. We're back here.
Mm-hmm.
Last week was the Love is Blind recap.
And it was epic.
Which was quite fun.
It only took me like 4 hours to edit because it's 2.5 hours long.
Is it 2.5 hours long?
Yes.
Oh my God, you guys! Hopefully you show us some love.
In the comment section down under. You know?
We got pretty wasted.
We definitely had a few drinks.
And then we
night.
had even more after we recorded.
We did, yeah. We were just like, oh, let's just keep the good times rolling.
God damn, continuously rolling, you know?
But you know, the thing is, on that night, the next day I woke up and I just felt a little bit tired. Like
you weren't so bad.
I wasn't like hungover. I was like, went to
me
work
neither.
and I was fine. Friday, on the other hand.
Are we talking about Friday?
I think we should.
There was a house party.
A little house party for some of our
house gathering.
Friends. Yeah. And they did like a spread. There was like a separate little vegan section for me and Rose, which was great.
Which was lovely.
Oh, it was so good. And then, yeah, there was beverages consumed, and I'm just not used to consuming beverages these days.
Okay. Mr. I did dry February one time, and like, this is his whole personality. He's like, I'm just like, God, I just like haven't drank in so long that like my body just can't handle it.
It's like when I said I'm re-virginized, Rose. You know, I'm re-alcoholized. No,
Daniel, it's been a month, okay?
Re-soberized. And honestly, guys, like, it was, but then I realized afterwards
the thing is, you got drunk because you drank a lot, not because you did dry Feb.
But normally I wouldn't get that drunk.
Daniel,
off what I drank.
Normally you would get that drunk.
Okay, you know what?
Come on, Daniel. Come on, Daniel. Did we not do an entire multiple episodes on our Patreon where we discussed our drunken stories?
Yes.
So let's not, fool our listeners and ourselves here. Speaking of Patreon, guys, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/thesavagepodcast, because we do bonus content every single month and we do ad-free content, and you get every episode earlier than everybody else. So check that out. Link is in the show notes and description. Anyway, so let's talk about that party.
Well,
Sorry, I had to call you out for a second.
I know you did.
I got to keep you in check.
No, but it was just like the next day I woke up and I was like, such a piece of shit, did like nothing. And I'm like,
After Friday,
yeah. And I'm like, shit, like, it's.
I know, it sucks.
I'm getting to that age now, which I mean, I've been at this age for a while, but like, I'm getting to that age now where I'm just like, oof, this never used to be me, where I'm like, oh, like I don't even want to drink because I just need to do
I know
stuff
the feeling though.
Yeah.
I think it's, so basically here's how it happens. I feel like when you're young, you're just like, drinking is the first priority.
Yes.
You want to get drunk. You want to be a mess. It doesn't matter if you're hungover or not. And Daniel used to like not get hungover.
Well, I would still be kind of hungover, but I could function.
You could function very well.
Yeah, I would like go to work in the morning. I'd like
just throw up a few times in the toilet.
Exactly. I'd go to school. I'd go to uni after and like study, and then I'd go out again.
Right. See, I'm sure I wasn't as bad as now. Mm-hmm. Like now I don't remember, but I definitely got pretty bad hangovers as well.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it wasn't this bad. You know what I mean? Like now it's like, I don't want to do anything. But yeah, so first stage is like, you just want to get drunk. Next stage is you definitely know that there are going to be hangovers.
Yes.
And it's getting worse, but you're still going to go out and drink.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the stage after, which I think both of us are kind of there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're so afraid of the hangover.
It becomes you don't want to go out because the fear of the hangover is so bad.
Yeah, basically it goes like this. If you guys can see on screen, basically first it's like, I think when you're in your mid-20s or late 20s, it's kind of equal. Like you still want to go out, but like you're still like dreading the hangover. Yeah. But then when you're kind of like get a little bit older, the hangover dread is higher than the urge to go out.
And it's starting to get like that.
I think so.
Because like
I mean, not that we're going to stop going out.
I know.
But it's just not going to happen as often.
This is true. Like a bunch of my friends were out on Saturday as well. And like technically I could have gone out.
Yeah.
Like I was feeling a bit better. It was like in the evening and I was like, oh, I could join for a couple beverages. But then I was like, well, the next day I was like, I know I have to clean the whole house and I want to go for a run and I want to do all this other stuff. And I'm like, if I drink, there's a high chance that I might not get any of that done.
Yeah. And it was St. Patty's Day as well.
Yes.
Like St. Patty's Day celebrations. So you just know, that's the thing. It's like, it's not even just the fact that I'm going to have a bad hangover, because sometimes it's not that bad, but you just know you're just not going to be as productive and you don't want to do stuff.
You just feel tired.
Yeah, and everything you do doesn't feel as fun the next day. So you're just like, fuck my life.
You're just like, oh God. Like, yeah, so that's definitely happening. And
but then I know, but then drinking's still kind of fun.
I know. This is why it's like this.
It's a battle. It's a battle.
Like and it is getting like this though. Like,
yeah,
I could have gone out on Saturday. But
now also, it depends on the night as well. Sometimes drinking a lot isn't that fun anymore as well.
Yes, that's true.
So it's getting to the point where it's like the night, like Friday was very fun. Don't get me wrong. Like Friday was really fun. But in like some occasions, I'm just like, I don't even want to get drunk tonight just because it's just not even, it's not even giving entertainment. You know, I'm just like, and I'd rather just like not be hungover tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. Are we just old?
I think we are. By the way, a random story.
What are you gonna tell me?
I don't think I told you this.
Why you didn't tell me?
So speaking of COVID, okay. I didn't realize this was a thing, guys. So apparently there is like this whole thing. So I had to like match with this guy on Tinder and we were just like kind of chatting a little bit.
And when was this, Daniel?
Like probably a month ago.
Okay.
If that, like probably around a month ago. We were just chatting and then out of the blue, like not that the conversation was great anyway, but out of the blue, he's like, oh, I just out of curiosity, like, are you vaccinated?
Yeah.
And I was like, what vaccine are you referring to? Because I've had a lot of vaccinations. And then he's like, oh, like, did you get your COVID? I was like, yep, got my COVID vaccine.
Sure.
Blah, 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 blah. And then they were like, yeah, sorry, this isn't going to work. And I was like,
oh, you got an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah, but get this. So I was like, can I ask why? Like, can I just like, I'm going to ask the question. I'm like, you know what? I respect people. Like, you know, each their own, but like, let me know. And I've never heard of this before. Maybe I'm like naive, but like, have you heard of like shedding?
He's a conspiracy theorist.
But you've heard of shedding, right?
Like that means if you have a vaccine, you can shed it on someone. Is that what it means?
Well, it has to do with like some kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like that you're.
Oh my God, you dodged a bullet there, Daniel.
I did. Oh fuck yeah, I unmatched the person.
Thank God he asked you.
Oh, could you imagine going on a date with that person and then they're like,
anti-vaxxers, please ask.
Yeah.
Your dating prospects.
But I was just surprised because he's like, yeah, you know, like I'm just, you know, I'm afraid of shedding, and I was like.
Maybe you should be more concerned with the actual virus.
I know. And I was like, okay. Like, I was like, this is the first I've heard of this. I didn't even know this was a thing. So I guess there's people out there now that won't date other people that have had the COVID vaccine because they're like purists. And they're like, they want people that are like pure. And I was like,
well, you know what? They can commingle amongst themselves.
Of course they can.
So that is,
I know.
I can't even tell me that story.
I don't know. I think it's just like I've been, you know, when you just like chat with someone, you're like, oh my God, this is so lame. I can't believe I didn't tell you, but I was just like,
that is hilarious.
Yeah, I wish I didn't unmatch him because then I'd still have pictures. I could show you what he looked like.
Oh, you should have screenshot
I
this.
know. I don't know.
Daniel.
I know. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, I was like, it shocked me. I was like, oh, did that really just happen? Like, that's weird.
At this point, nothing shocks me.
I know.
You know, especially with these like conspiracy. I can't even talk. Conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, that's a new one for me. I had to Google.
I don't know how I've heard of this.
I had to Google shedding because
right.
I was like, what? And apparently, so went into a rabbit hole about vaccine shedding, and apparently the type of vaccine that the COVID vaccine is, it actually isn't a virus that can shed. From the sounds of it, like it sounds like.
Wait, is it an actual thing? Can you actually shed a vaccine? Is this like scientific?
It's like, yeah, I think that, but it depends on what the type of vaccine that you get, and there's like a lot of different factors, and it's not like it's very rare. Like it's like, and all it would do is like, for example, if you were vaccinated, it would like, I don't know if like the proteins or something goes over to the other person, but then
is this if you have like sexual contact, or is it if you're just close proximity?
I think it might be sexual contact, but I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, I guess that would kind of make sense if you have certain things in your body and then there's fluid exchange, you know? And
is there fluid exchange in sex?
Anyways.
But anyway, that caught me by surprise. I was like, that's a new one for my novel that I'm writing about my dating stories.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh my God, when is it coming out, Daniel?
Pretty soon, guys. Stay tuned. Okay.
We got to add 2024 chapter.
Yes.
So.
Stay tuned. I'm
writing.
The
Year of the Dragon, Daniel. This might be the final chapter.
This is going to be the final chapter.
I'm putting it out there in the ether.
The final chapter, because after this year, I'm going to be asexual. That's the direction my life is going.
Stop, Daniel.
I'm just kidding. Oh God. Anyway, moving on from my tragic dating life.
Oh my God.
We got some stories.
So guys, first of all, last week was not a story week.
No.
Because we were talking about Love is Blind. But if you guys want the Love is Blind recap while we drink wine, go check out last week's episodes because it was a hoot.
It was super fun, guys. Maybe you agree with our statements, maybe you don't, but it was super fun to do. And honestly, it was...
Honestly, speaking of honesty...
Have you heard this story, by the way?
Okay, so because I care very little about the royal family, I don't really pay attention to the stories of the royal family.
Right.
But I think I saw like an article's title, something like this.
Yeah.
How Kate Middleton, who is Prince William's wife is missing.
Okay, so this is the crazy thing, guys, because like I was on TikTok of all places, and I kept like seeing all this thing like, where's Kate Middleton? What's happened with Kate Middleton? I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, she is like a huge public figure.
Yes.
I'm gonna give you a breakdown of what happened.
Okay, give me a breakdown.
So essentially, and this is what I mean, sometimes the media and the public goes crazy.
They blow things out of proportion.
Exactly. So basically, Kate was going into surgery for something.
Sure.
She was going into some kind of like surgery thing or whatever. And I think I can't remember if she exactly made an announcement or whatever, but she said basically, I'm stepping back from the public eye to go do my surgery and get recovery. I probably won't be back like in the public eye until like Easter. So like March 31st, kind of like beginning of April sort of thing. So, you know, she made that statement. Then everybody started freaking out. They're like, why is she disappearing from the public eye? What's going on? And then all these like conspiracy theories started like surfacing, and then there'd be like pictures of her.
What are some of the conspiracy theories?
I can't remember all of them, but one of them was like, is she in a medically induced coma? Like the royal family has put her into a medically induced, like it went fucking wild. Anyway, she has come out of her disappearance recently, and there's been some photos, and people have been like, basically like justifying why these photos are real and not fake.
Oh my!
I know, but it's
Did
like
people care this much about the royal family?
Apparently,
like
yes.
She ain't Princess Diana, bitch.
I know. Well, goddamn. So
I have very little interest, negative interest on the royal family at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's out in the public.
Yeah.
Smiling.
As of March 18th. And then originally, so what happened was it was in January 17th that Kate went into the hospital the day before a planned surgery, and they even released a statement. And so what I was like, why is this conspiracy happening? Exactly. I was like, the thing that was so stupid about this whole situation is like, if it had been after she said when she was going to get out of surgery, so she said she'd be out, that if it was like 6 months later, exactly, then people can be like, hey, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. People just jump on things. So apparently Prince William canceled a few appearances, and people are like, what's going on? What's happening?
Who is keeping tabs with the royal family? Guys, go outside, meet some friends, talk to people in real life. Nobody cares about this.
Yeah. So these were some of the rumors that were flying around.
Okay, give me the rumors.
People theorized something had gone terribly wrong with her health. She thought that she was in real danger of dying. She was gone for the amount of time that she said she was going to be gone for her medical treatment. Perhaps she was in a medical-induced coma. Perhaps her marriage to William was on the rocks, and she was in hiding. Perhaps she'd been killed and would be replaced by a body double. As the stories took off, the joke theory... So I know. It's like one of these stories where I was just like, every time I heard more about it, I was like... It's getting more and more ridiculous. Like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, why... I know. God, guys, I thought the times were difficult. I thought we were having a hard time. And this is what we're focusing on. Exactly. First of all... I'm sorry, guys. Like I've said this many times on this podcast. Like I really just don't give a fuck about the royal family.
Yeah, we give negative fucks.
Negative fucks.
In fact, we think very negatively about the existence of the royal family.
Exactly. I think it's a stupid like thing. Mm-hmm. The whole like argument about how they bring tourists to the UK. I would argue the tourists are still going to go if the palaces. Mm-hmm. If you maintain the palaces and the beautiful stuff that's there, it's like, you know what? No one really gives a fuck.
Well, apparently, so many people give a fuck that there's all of these conspiracy theorists.
It's crazy. I just thought it was so funny as well because I'm like, what is wrong with people? Like literally, what? Like why?
Our whole podcast could just be called "What's Wrong with People."
It could. Should we change? Should we rebrand, Rose?
What's wrong with society?
What is wrong with society and all the things that we hate?
What the fuck is wrong with people
in modern day society? Mm-hmm. WTF?
Well, some people are saying, oh, she was. You know what? The most likely one that I can see is like. She was trying to recover from plastic surgery. Okay, who cares? People get plastic surgery. Who the fuck gives a fuck?
Exactly. We're thinking of getting some plastic surgery, right?
Where should we get it, Daniel? Well, I know where you want to get it.
My BBL? No, I'm thinking like maybe in a few years' time.
God damn, you'd be a serious man.
I might get something like...
Excuse me, that was my idea? Are you actually thinking of it?
Well, I was thinking I might do something with my face, like just for the wrinkles.
A facelift would be, well, that's just Botox. That's not plastic surgery, Daniel.
I know, true.
Like I discussed, a little facelift for myself.
You talked about that thread thing, right? So apparently Kim Kardashian's got it.
Oh, you really?
Well, no, because the only reason I said, because after you told me about it, I saw she came up on my feed, and it was like, ooh, her like that surgery went really well for her. It's really defined now or something.
She probably just got for her. She probably got it like a facelift.
Yeah.
Because like if you have that much money. I'd probably just get she's definitely gotten work done, right? So it's not like she's afraid of going under the knife.
No, for sure.
So
I do have to say, and people might disagree with me when I say this, but I think like with the Kardashians, not all of them, but like Kim, for example, like she's had work done, right? Like obviously
they all have had. Yes.
But I feel like she's done it in such a way where it doesn't like look. How do I say this?
It looks bad. It looks good.
It looks good, right? Like
they all look pretty good.
Exactly. They all look good. They
got an expensive surgeon, Daniel. Come on now.
Well, and this is the thing. I think Kylie sometimes looks a little bit too much. Like I think she does look too much.
But even then, she looks pretty damn good.
Yeah.
For someone that's gotten that much work done,
I know.
Yeah.
Because you know when you see those like scary images of like especially like certain people and their like face looks scary, their lips, and you can just like so many celebrities have been in the limelight for this. Like I remember. Oh my God, Courtney Cox from Friends.
Too much Botox.
Too much,
filler.
But then she kind of like reversed back a little bit,
and
I
she
think.
looks so much better.
Yeah, and I think it's just like being like doing maybe small things or tasteful or like just not overdoing it. And I think the Kardashians, one, they have an expensive surgeon.
Yeah.
But two, I think they've gotten a really good balance of it.
Probably somehow they're good at doing that. I don't know how.
Kim looks fucking good.
They all look pretty damn good.
Yeah, they do.
Like I hate to admit it, but they do.
I know.
Yeah.
Like... They've got good surgeons.
They've got good surgeons. They got a good filler person. I don't know what they're called.
Well, because even when they get filler, they don't look like some of those girls that get like the like duck lips and the.
Yeah, I mean Kylie's is definitely obvious.
Yeah, Kylie's is.
But it still looks pretty decent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because normally I don't like lip filler because some people, again, like, people do too much.
Yeah.
Like it looks painful. Like it looks like it's going to blow up.
It looks like, like
it looks like I need to put a needle in it and then it's just going to pop.
Yeah. Well, you know what I always say when you see people with like really fucking big lips.
Oh God.
First of all, I'm like, does that not fucking hurt? Because you know if you like, I don't know if you guys have had this. This might be TMI, but like if you get like a pimple right on the edge. I don't know if you've ever had one before, and it fucking
like you mean like a cold sore?
Not a cold sore, like an actual pimple.
Okay.
I've had a pimple before, like right on my lip.
Yeah.
Like right on the edge. And it got like obviously swollen a little bit. Yeah. And it was so fucking painful.
Right.
So imagine if I got all this filler in there and it's like they're so ready to burst.
It can't be painful though. I don't think it is.
I think you get used to it. But what I was gonna say with all this, it reminds me of like, on the National Geographic.
Oh no, Daniel.
Yes, I'm gonna go there, guys. So
this is the SaVeg Podcast after all.
Podcast. Female baboons.
I knew you'd say this.
Yeah. When they go into heat and they're ready for some lovin', their whole backside.
Their whole backside.
Their whole like area. Buttocks and like their vagine. It gets
the baboon vagine.
It gets super, super fucking red and swollen like huge. So I'm like, that's what those lips remind me of.
Baboon ass.
A swollen baboon ass.
A horny baboon ass.
Yes. You need to see a picture of it, Rose.
Oh my God, I need to see a picture. Yes, I do.
Of course.
We're going to see a picture.
So Google baboon in heat or something.
Female baboon in heat.
Yes. And you'll see what I mean. Because I'm like, you know what? That's what that reminds me of. To all you people with lip fillers, I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking if you go excessive. Like
yes.
I'm talking like fucking Jumbotron lips. Am I wrong?
Oh my God. Wait, I need to show the audience. No, guys, you're just going to have to Google this, okay?
Google baboon in heat. Am I wrong, Rose?
It's relatively accurate.
Exactly. Obviously not when they're like fully in heat and it gets really intense.
Oh my God. It looks painful. Anyways.
That's a sign that they're ready for some love.
Oh, God damn. That is just putting that out there. Jesus. There's no mystery with the baboons.
No, that's they like to put it on display and be like, I'm ready.
Hello, sir. Please just insert
here.
Insert into this very red and swollen area.
Oh, God. The animal kingdom is kind of crazy.
It's kind of insane.
Yeah. Like it's actually.
Well, and then, you know, like how birds, like I think this part's cute. How like male birds have to like dance for their females.
They have to do so much work.
Yeah. They have to just, I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
It should be the way everywhere.
Not just birds, but a lot of fish as well.
Oh, really?
I saw this one where this fish, like it's such a weird little fish. And the men have to create this like intricate design in the sand.
Oh my God.
And then the women like will be swimming and she'll like see the design and go, ooh.
And then she picks the best design.
Yes. She'll be like,
Shut
ooh,
up.
this one's the best artist that she likes for whatever reason.
That's so crazy.
There's so many random shit like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So where are the men dancing for the humans, huh?
Not apparently not in this city.
Instead, you got them asking if they got a vaccine.
Oh God, that was weird. I can't believe I forgot to tell you. Like that was so fucking weird.
I can't believe you didn't tell me. That is crazy.
I was like, shedding? What the fuck is shedding?
You should have immediately screenshot it and sent it to me.
I know. I should have. In future, I know that's what I will do.
Yeah. Daniel, hopefully you don't come across that in the future.
God,
but
I know.
A part of me wants you to because
Just
it's
for that.
quite entertaining.
God, I just come across some weird situations. One other thing I wanted to talk about though before we go into the next story. Anyway, so what I wanted to talk about.
I swear to fucking God.
I'll send you it first, Rose.
Okay.
Anyways, so what I wanted to talk about though. Okay, so I don't know how much truth is behind this, right? But there's a documentary that just came out on Netflix. I happened to watch it Saturday when I was extremely hungover.
What was it?
And it's called. Fuck, what is it called?
Tell me what it is about.
So basically it's about this apocalypse that happened back in the day. There's like 8 episodes. And the guy that's like doing it is like he's kind of, they call him like a pseudo-scientist. Like he doesn't really follow, like they say that he cherry picks data and like he's not necessarily the most credible person. But anyway, he talks on this series. And this series talks about how like a lot of our like, and I don't want to like necessarily believe 100% what he says, right? But like a lot of the theory is that like human civilization kind of like not materialized out of thin air, but like it didn't really start. Like we didn't start building like cities and structures until like, I can't remember what it was. I want to say like 3000 BC or something, right? And the end of the ice age was like 10,000 BC.
Okay.
Something like this. And his whole argument is what they're finding is when they're finding some of these like temples and stuff, there's like weird stories that like interlink all of them across the world.
Okay.
And like one of the stories is this whole concept of like a god coming to this town by water to help them with like create civilization.
Okay.
So what his whole argument is during the ice age, there was an advanced civilization across the world. Like there was an advanced civilization that went not extinct during the ice age, but basically wiped out the whole city or the whole area. And a few people kind of escaped and went around the world and helped like
build this modern day, somewhat modern day civilization.
Exactly. And like what's happening and why he's getting so much pushback is a lot of archaeologists and I guess people like don't want to deviate too much from like the proposed timeline.
Okay.
But even though like there were certain things that happened in this series where it's like even without him saying anything, you're kind of like this one temple that they found in Indonesia where they did carbon dating where they can like figure out when and it was like
way older
than they had anticipated, like before the ice age or like during the ice age. And they were like, what the fuck? Like this isn't adding up, right? Like
so scientifically it would have been like during the Ice Age.
Yes, because the carbon dating. So there's little things like this where you're like, like what is going on? Like, you know, like, and it's interesting concept to think like there could have been civilization. Like,
I mean, there totally could have been. I believe. I don't know if it's like what he's explaining.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, because throughout time, right, we had dinosaurs and shit. They all got wiped out.
Yeah.
So like, it's not crazy to think, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like humans necessarily. Like, we don't fucking actually know.
Exactly. Well, and this is the thing. It's like there could have been a civilization, maybe not quite as advanced as this, but who the fuck knows?
Who
like,
the fuck knows?
They were like very into like astrology and all this other stuff. Like there was a lot of things that, you know. Anyway, it's a really good series. Watch it with a grain of salt.
Is it gonna like make us freak out, like how we freak out about everything?
No, actually no.
Okay.
It's more of a just kind of like, ooh, this is interesting. You know, like there was a society potentially before that. How is this all interlinked?
Right.
There was some really cool sites that they went to where there's like not really an explanation for it, right? Like
Sure.
Archaeologists to this day have no explanation for these things.
I mean, it's limited. Like, we only have what we know based on, you know, the limited information that we have. So I don't think it's that crazy to think that there could be something that we find out later.
Of course.
Where we're like, oh, actually.
But I think they need to be open-minded. And again, I don't know this guy too well, but I read more about him.
He might be cuckoo. Who the fuck knows?
And they're like, he very much cherry picks his data. So I don't know. But the sites he was going to, he was talking to other scientists and they were like,
well, is he going at it from more of like, we don't actually know, or is he going at it as, this is my theory? He's
kind of going at it with, this is my theory.
Okay, maybe that's the issue.
Yeah. Whereas you're right. I feel like he should go with it to say, okay, hang on a second. The narrative is this.
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense.
But then let me show you this evidence that shows the contrary.
Yeah, like he talked about like one place like Malta, for example.
Sure.
And he was like, Malta's narrative was that, like, I don't know, let's just say 1,000 years ago, farmers or people that were living hunter-gatherers there all of a sudden started farming and doing all this stuff.
Okay.
And yet they found these like incredible structures like temples and stuff.
Right.
That are from thousands of years before that was supposed to happen.
Right.
So he's like, how do they know how to build these structures?
Right.
You know, certain things don't add up.
Sure.
Yeah. And they're finding all these other cool sites. Like they found in Turkey these like entire cities underground.
Oh God.
It was insane. Yeah. One of the cities, they estimate that 20,000 people could have lived down there.
Underground.
It's huge. It's fucking massive.
And when did they find it?
I can't remember, but like I was like, oh my God, that part's fascinating. Like when you see that shit, you're just like,
well, have you been to Pompeii?
No,
in Italy?
I haven't.
See, that was like, and you kind of know the story.
Yeah.
So basically, it was like this. It's near Naples in Italy, and essentially, I wish I remember the exact situation, but basically, there was like an entire society of people.
Yeah.
And apparently, they were living really quite lavishly and stuff. I don't know what year, guys. Okay, don't ask me. Anyway,
what year, Rose? What exact year?
They were living quite lavishly, whatever. But then there was like this volcano that basically wiped out the entirety of this place. So they still have in Pompeii and stuff, like some of the, like basically what happened was I think it got wiped out and then they didn't discover it until many, many, many years later. And then when they discovered it, they realized, oh, actually there was like a whole, community society here.
Yeah.
And they were living quite well. They could tell based on like, I don't know, the materials they had maybe.
Right.
And they actually found like mummified remains and stuff like that.
Oh God.
Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty insane.
That I need to go visit there.
Yeah.
You would
love it.
I would really love it. One other thing, another documentary I watched when I was hungover. So I was like just like watching Netflix.
Like watching educational things when you're hungover. I'm just like, let's just put Sex and the City on repeat.
Well, I was contemplating that, but I was like, oh, I'll just watch some random shit.
Sure.
The other thing that I watched, guys, deeply disturbed me.
Oh God.
And it's a true story. It was a documentary and they actually were talking to the people that were there.
Sure.
And it's about this group of people, and I got chills because I was like, "This is something that."
Is this about a cult?
No, it was about a volcano in New Zealand.
I've heard about this.
It is fucking terrifying.
It's terrifying.
You should watch the documentary.
I don't want to.
Because basically they go on this tour, like you book this tour.
It's like
on
an island, right? Yeah.
And so they're like on this island, and all of a sudden the volcano, like it's not like a normal volcano where it just like erupts lava. It's like it erupts like fucking steam or something. So basically people are like running to get off this island while there's like steam going everywhere. Like it was.
And how many people died?
A lot. Well, not a lot. There was like, enough. I think there was like 40 people on the island at the time. And I think maybe like a few of them were further down when it happened.
Yeah.
And there were some people that were like right at the grounds.
Oh God, I can't.
And one of the guys that was there, oh my God, it was so sad. He was there with his mom, dad, and sister.
Yeah.
And he was like a little bit, I guess, in better shape or something. So when the steam came and it kind of cleared up for a minute,
oh God,
he like went to go get help.
Yeah.
And then he got rescued on like a boat or something. And then it got really, really dangerous to go back to the island.
Fuck.
So his whole family died.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
It was so
that
fucked up,
so
guys.
sad.
Yeah.
But I've heard about it.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard about it.
Well, and one of the boats was like the people that had just come from the island. They turned it around to go pick up the other people. And imagine going and picking up people that had...
Oh, God.
They weren't like... They looked like...
Probably bones and stuff,
yes,
like really burned.
You couldn't touch them because their flesh was like falling off. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
It was insane.
But did they know that there was a danger?
So what had happened was they didn't know that it was happening.
Of course.
Initially.
Yeah.
And then when they're on the island, the people that were further back, they started like taking a video and then they see the like, they heard a really loud noise and then they see stuff starting. And then people are like, is that supposed to happen? And then the guides are like, we need to run now. And then like people start running and like obviously screaming and shit. And then there's like another big explosion.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was like, holy fuck if that happened.
Okay, so I'm never going to... That's like an active volcano though. It must have been.
I've been to an active volcano before though, myself.
Okay, maybe we need to not.
I know. Like that's actually fucking terrible. Because you never know when it's
You never know what's going to happen.
It could just erupt.
You never know.
Yeah.
Okay. So add that to the list of nope.
No. So no Tarzan swing for Rose and no
Tarzan swing, no bungee jumping, no skydiving.
And no volcanoes.
No volcanoes.
Okay. Moving on.
Well, no active volcanoes.
Yeah, no active. If you hike like a dormort one, fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like, because people would go to this one because you can see it like bubbling up and stuff.
Yeah, no. I don't. There's nothing in me that wants to do that.
Yeah.
Because that sounds awful.
It's just terrifying and like the immense heat that would like.
No.
Even when I went to the volcano that I went to, because I went to a couple in South America and Central America, sorry. And one of the ones I went to, I just remember, like, even though it was like kind of, you could see the water bubbling and stuff. And even though it's quite far down, because it's like usually in like a crater at the bottom.
Yeah.
The heat.
Oh God.
It was insanity.
No, this would terrify me.
I know. And I was like, and then all the cars, like when they park, so there's like a parking lot right by the volcano.
Yeah.
All the cars park facing away from the volcano.
So that you could drive.
So if it ever erupted, people can jump in the cars and then just drive away.
See, this is not appealing ever. Anyways.
Be crazy as hell.
Okay, next story. Out from the Philippines. So apparently hundreds of people have been rescued from a scam center in the Philippines that made them pose as lovers online. What?
This probably checks out. You know how many times I've been on the apps and it's been some fake fucking profile?
Oh my God, this totally like adds to your theory.
It does.
Okay.
I have a theory, guys, but...
Daniel has a theory. What? No, there are definitely some fake profiles out there.
100%.
But you think a lot of them are fake, and I don't know if they're all...
You know what, Rose? I don't appreciate. So police said they raided the center on Thursday. They rescued 383 Filipinos, 202 Chinese, and 73 other foreign nationals. The center, which was 100 kilometers north of Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines, was masquerading as an online gambling firm, they said. And I guess the way they would like lure people is like young and tech savvy victims are often lured into running these illegal operations, which range from money laundering, crypto fraud to so-called love scams. And they kind of like go after like, you know, they'll go after people that are like looking for money or jobs or whatever. And then they get kind of like trapped or lured into this kind of like scam.
Right.
You know? And
But then were they trapped in this building
or it says it became a hub for scam centers where the scammers themselves are often entrapped and forced into criminal activity.
Okay, interesting.
So there might have been some element of like them being forced.
Right. Okay. So hold on.
Here we go. Gives you a little bit more here.
Okay.
Thursday's raid near Manila was sparked by a tip-off from a Vietnamese man who managed to flee the scam center last month. So clearly they get them up into the scam center and then like kind of hold them there, I guess.
Well, either they hold them physically, which I don't think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But they probably threaten them with something.
Of course.
basically, okay, here it is. The man who is in his 30s arrived in the Philippines in January this year after being offered what he was told would be a chef's job.
Yeah.
And then the man soon realized that, like hundreds of others, he had fallen prey to human traffickers.
Yeah.
Oh, running love and cryptocurrency scams.
Yeah.
Those trapped in the Bamban Center were forced to send sweet nothings to their victims, many of whom were Chinese, and they would check in on their recipients with questions about their day and what they had eaten for their last meal, blah, 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 and photos of themselves to cultivate the relationship.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Casio, I don't know who this is, said those running the scam centers trapped good-looking men and women to lure victims. But again, are they physically trapped?
Well, it sounds like they're like kind of like in a...
No, they are physically trapped. On February 28th, the Vietnamese man escaped the facility by climbing up a wall.
Yeah.
So they're like literally physically trapped there.
It's crazy. Well, this is quite like this story is not unique.
This is insane.
I know. It's crazy. It's not unique in a sense that I've seen this before. Like I watched a documentary about
like it's human trafficking, basically.
Yeah, like sex trafficking, love
so
scam trafficking. And they'll often go or they'll get people that are like foreign workers that are like coming to a new country for like jobs.
People that are
stuff.
vulnerable.
Exactly. And they'll say, hey, we have a great job for you. It pays well. You just have to, when you get here, you just have to hand me your passport and stuff because I have to like take it for official whatever.
Sure.
And then guess what? You don't have your passport anymore. And you're fucked.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then you're like, we're going to kill your family or whatever.
Oh God.
You're trapped in this fucking. And the thing that's so scary is like, I actually saw this one guy on TikTok that he'll like joke with these scammers, but he'll like go into like relationship with the scammers. And like, because you think right away, you're like, well, it's a love scam. Like, how are they getting money? But what they'll do is they'll be like, oh, like they'll pretend they're from the US somewhere or something, right? They're like, oh, I live in Virginia and you're in New York. I'll come visit you. Just transfer me some money and I'll book a plane ticket. And then he'll go like on because he knows he's never going to transfer the money. So he's like, well, why don't I book a plane ticket for you? I'll do it for you. Okay, well then you're still going to need to transfer me because I need money for my taxi. Tell me your address. I'll order you an Uber. You know, like he like plays the game with them. But a lot of the time it is people that are vulnerable and trapped in this situation where they're like forced to like send like, be a fake Tinder profile.
It's kind of like what is that Tinder swindler, but like in an actual operation with a full company behind it, probably.
It's crazy to me that these places exist. And like even going back to like the Tinder swindler, that whole story, I'm like, how are these people real?
Did you watch the one about the Italian doctor?
Oh,
that one. What was it called?
What was Bad Doctor, was it?
Something like that. Bad Surgeon.
Bad Surgeon. Yes.
That was the craziest one. Guys, you need to watch that one. It's actually so sad, that one.
It's fucking
so
horrible.
Sad. So if you don't know the story, I mean, should I spoil it?
Spoiler alert, guys.
Spoiler alert. Basically, this guy that was like, he was an actual doctor.
Yeah.
And I think he was Italian or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
His name was like Fabio or some shit like this. I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Anyways, so he was this like, good looking doctor who was like, pretty well known in his field because he created something that was supposed to be like a replacement trachea or something.
So it was supposed to be for your trachea, and it was supposed to be like he like revolutionized this
quote unquote
exactly revolutionized this trachea treatment whereby participants with like either damaged tracheas or whatever, they could actually get like a plastic trachea covered in their own cells so that it would like your body wouldn't reject it and it would like become one with your body. But the issue is he never went through proper testing.
And I don't even understand how he was able to like get that far.
I don't know either.
Because it's like, it's one person that's saying, I created this thing.
Yeah.
And then everyone else just kind of
went
with it.
I know.
Which is insane. So then, so he had, I don't know, luckily he didn't have that many patients.
Yeah. Because it was very niche.
It was very niche.
Yeah.
But he had at least like 8 or 9 or something like this, all of whom died.
Yeah.
Eventually, which is so sad because one of them was like this young girl, like she was like a little baby, and anyway, so after the operation, all of them ended up dying. One person didn't die because they changed it or like took it out or something. But then there's also this like love scam that's mixed in with it.
Yeah.
So honestly, I can't.
People are crazy.
And then he barely got time in prison.
I know. It's so
like
disgusting.
the man needs to be in prison forever. I'm sorry. That is so evil. I can't.
And like narcissistic.
so like beyond.
He just thought he was like God's gift to the world, and I think in his mind he had actually convinced himself that he was revolutionizing this treatment because he kept saying, he was like, even though it didn't go through clinical trials, I think every time he thought he was going to improve the surgery until he got to a point where it was going to be like it would work, but like the point is you're supposed to go through proper testing.
But what's crazy is that the school that or the medical center, the hospital that he was working at were like in denial for a long time.
Yeah, because they didn't want to be made to look stupid.
Oh, but that's like, basically there was like a bunch of people that were, you know, looking into this guy being like, okay, something's like not right. And one guy realized that, you know, this guy just did not do the proper testing.
Yeah.
And it was just very obvious. So then he like put it up, you know, like obviously made some reports, but like nobody was listening.
Yeah.
So
he still worked at the hospital for a while.
He still worked at the hospital for a while.
And it was like a very reputable hospital in Sweden.
I know, but that's another crazy thing. Like, not to be, you know, having stereotypes or whatever, but I wouldn't expect Sweden, you know? I'd expect them to go through some kind of proper procedures.
But this is what I mean. I feel like, again, we kind of like, I don't know if we actually said this on the podcast, but when we were talking earlier, we're saying like these like big corporations and these big institutions, we as a society are making a grave error by just like blindly trusting them, right? Like if this world-renowned Swedish hospital, and I thought the same thing. I'm like, it's Sweden, it's this, it's a hospital,
low corruption,
exactly, all this stuff, and guess what? They're still fucking corrupt.
Yeah.
So it just shows you like that a lot of this stuff can't be taken for face value.
Oh God.
It's fucked up.
It's so fucked up. So oh my God, but I have to talk about a little bit of that love story. So like, do you think she was naive as fuck?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Because
the thing is, the woman, okay, the thing is, so he like essentially seduced a journalist who was doing a story on him. Yeah. So he was like, you know, because he was like world renowned, he created this like amazing thing, which by the way, had not been proven to actually work.
I know.
So I don't know why everybody was like, oh my God, this is so revolutionary. I'm like, where's the proof that it's working?
Exactly.
Like, I get that he created it, but that doesn't mean it's going to work.
And everyone dies after the fucking surgery.
Oh my God. So then she was hired to make this documentary about him because he was such an amazing surgeon, apparently. And then he like somehow seduced her or whatever, and they got into this relationship, and he was so like showering her with
love bombing her.
Love bombing. This is a red flag. I'm like, woman, you are like 40 something. I don't know how old she was. I think she was like 40.
Yeah, she's older.
I was like, come on.
Yeah.
You have to spot those red flags. I'm not saying that we're all gonna spot but like it was kind of like a lot.
Exactly. And I think the hard part too, and I feel like again, the fact that he was like always traveling for work.
Yes. Had multiple phones,
all this stuff. It starts to like create this picture, and you're like,
yeah. And when a man constantly says that he has all like a secretive operation. Yeah. He basically was like, oh yeah, I'm actually like a secret doctor for like famous people. Yeah. And he just kept naming, he's like basically any famous person you can think of. Yeah. Like Barack Obama, like Hillary Clinton. The Pope. I draw the line.
Who was supposed to officiate their wedding? I'm like, okay.
It's so ridiculous.
If like literally, if my boyfriend says to me, like, my fiance at this point says to me, the Pope is gonna officiate our wedding, I'll be like, get the fuck out of this room right now. Yeah. I do not trust you, motherfucker, because that is not happening. The Pope was not officiating our wedding.
I will not believe this until I meet the Pope right now and he tells me in person.
Get him on the fucking video call.
Phone. Exactly.
Video call too. I don't want to just voice call.
Video call. No, at this point, there's fucking AI and shit. I want to meet him in person.
This is scary.
The thing is, the woman, I don't know, maybe she was so in love that she's blinded. Mm-hmm. Let's face it. Sometimes, like, you know, if you're in that situation.
What happened though, Rose, in that situation is she got blinded from the shrapnel coming from the love bombs. So she was blinded by the love bombs.
She was blinded by the love bombing.
Yes.
But the story was just so extravagant. We're going to get married at the Vatican or some shit.
Yes, by the Pope.
Or wherever, some kind of castle by the Pope.
Leonardo DiCaprio's going to be there. I was like, okay.
The Obamas will be there. Yeah. I'm like, okay, girl.
And then I like how there's also some of the people like that were patients and stuff. Like one of the patient's families was supposed to go to this wedding.
Oh yeah.
And then they called like the wedding venue. Yeah. And they were like,
there's no wedding.
There's like, there's nothing happening. What are you talking about? They're like, well, no. This is like the wedding of the year. Yeah. Like we're invited. And they're like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. And at that point, it's like, okay, come on.
Even before that, you're just like,
I know.
Girl. Yeah. Come on now.
Like even if I was dating someone that was like remotely famous, and they start like name dropping shit. Like, I'm sorry. Like to get the Pope to fucking do that kind of stuff. Like you have to be like a fucking, I don't know, you know, like
The fact that he just could say those lies.
And I'm also like that blind level of confidence.
I know.
Like when you're spinning so much shit and that you're just like.
That's the narcissism and sociopathy.
It's
like
scary.
that's what it is.
It's scary.
Like a normal person couldn't ever do that.
No, because I would honestly, if I started saying all that shit, I would feel so nervous. I'm like,
oh my God,
people are going to find out. This isn't true.
For me, one tiny lie makes me nervous.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God, now I have to like come up with this story. That makes me nervous, but he's
start
just saying
spinning
it.
this web of lies.
Yep. He's still in denial that he did anything wrong.
I know. Fucking crazy.
Oh,
he's still
anyway.
like, I was trying to save lives, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you are seriously
it's
so
crazy.
fucked.
Guys, you need to go. And the thing is, I knew about this story already.
Yeah.
But the documentary was still quite interesting. So go and watch the documentary. It's so fucked up. Do not fall for a crazy ass love bomber.
Yes.
Just because he's charming and speaks in an Italian accent.
Yes.
Okay?
That's the lesson of the podcast today, guys.
Okay, so I guess these back to the Filipino authorities.
Well, it's not just so the Filipino authorities, they went to this facility, they rescued a bunch of people. And yeah, I guess last year they rescued more than 1,000 people
who were held captive and forced to run online scams. My God, this must be like a really common thing.
I know. That's why I feel kind of bad because I'm like pretty like not nice to scammers.
I mean, obviously, we don't want to be nice to scammers, and I'm the same. I'm like, this is a scam. Fuck you.
Yeah. Or I'll play the game with them. They're like, your social insurance number has been compromised. I'm like, okay, what's my social insurance number?
Yeah. I know. The thing, people have started calling my cafe and being like, oh yeah, your DoorDash account is something is not happening in the back end. Yeah. And I'm like, and I kind of, because I was like, I've never heard of this scam. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, like, what's wrong with the back? I'm like, okay, like, what's wrong with it? And then eventually, after a few questions, I was kind of like,
you're like, come on.
It's a little sus. I'm like, it seems to be working fine. I'm still getting orders. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And I'm like, what's the name of my business? And they say the name of, because we have like our, business name, which is SaVeg Cafe. But I have a legal business name, which they would all know that because that's all out there in the back end. Yeah. And then they couldn't say it.
That's bad.
And then they were just like, oh, well, I can't remember what excuse. And I was like, I think you're running a scam.
Yeah. But this is the thing. And it's sad. But the reality of our life now, guys, is that we just have to question everything.
I know.
Like we could have like somebody call and be like, hi, this is TELUS. Like, one of our big providers here. And they'd be like, oh, your internet bill wasn't paid or whatever it might be. Yeah. And it's like they're getting really good at it, though.
They're really good at it now.
And even some of the emails I get, like I get a few. It
looks real.
It looks real. I'll get ones that like your Apple account has been locked.
Yeah.
All in the fucking Apple logo. The only reason I found out is maybe there's a slight spelling error, or I'll look at the actual
email.
And they design it now so that, in the email, especially on your phone, it just shows the first word that might just say Apple. But then when you click into it,
you have to look at the full email address.
It shows you the full, and their name is Apple, and then like that's the email address, and you're like, what the fuck?
They're very smart now.
Yes.
So you have to be very careful. But yeah, I do feel bad. Like even in India, I know. I don't know if they get trapped like this. I'm sure if it's happening in the Philippines, I'm sure there's some happening in India in other places too. Yeah. But a lot of these people, they like. Maybe they're like desperate, right? And they end up working for these scammy companies. And I'm not excusing that behavior, but it's like sometimes when you drive someone to the brink of desperation.
You know what, though? Honestly, let's put it in perspective. Like, it's like when you go to these countries like Thailand, for example, that has a huge, huge sex tourism industry. And the thing is, a lot of Thai people, that may not be the choice of what they want to do. Sure. But like none of us are going to be able to relate to this unless we're in that situation where it's like, hey, you know what? Because we take it for granted. Like we don't have to necessarily do certain things. Like we have a lot of options available to us. Yeah. For the most part. Obviously there's people that are the haves and have-nots even in Canada and stuff. But like you go somewhere like that and imagine growing up somewhere where you don't have job opportunities. Yeah. Or like you do, but like you with that job will not pay your bills. Yeah. And yet there's another industry where it's like you can make a lot of money. You can do all that. It's not something you want to do, but you're like, I have kids. I have a whatever. And this is the same thing for these scam centers. Like you go into like, in India, maybe there's not a lot of opportunity
there aren't.
Where they are in certain parts. And they're like, you know what? Fuck it. I can make a lot more money working at this scammy call center. I don't really want to do it, but guess what? I have kids to feed.
I know.
That's
so
the reality.
Part of me does feel bad for them.
Yeah. I mean, It's sad. The whole situation is sad. It's sad that we have this in the first place, but anyway, great that these people were rescued.
And what is the root cause, Daniel?
Capitalism.
Yeah, great that these people were rescued. Thank God. This Vietnamese man deserves an award.
I know.
But now it's scary because obviously, you know, it's happening elsewhere as well.
Listen to this. A UN report last August estimated that hundreds of thousands of people from around the world have been trafficked to Southeast Asia to run online scams.
I didn't even know it was that big in Southeast Asia.
I know. It's like that's wild.
My
wild.
God.
Sad.
Absolutely
and
wild.
Scary.
Okay. This is wild, guys. So I think we talked about this Boeing story, or like the airline industry story a few weeks ago.
We talked about we kind of touched more on the fact that like it came out that Boeing was lobbying the government for like decreased safety regulations on their planes.
Yes.
And
how travel has become more dangerous.
Yes.
I mean, not like, I don't want to scare people. Okay. Yeah. It's still very safe. Yeah. But compared to before, there have been a lot more incidents, especially on these Boeing 737 or whatever, the most common apparent fucking plane. So there's all of these issues. So far, it hasn't been absolutely insane. Yeah. But it's going up and it's concerning, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are talking about Boeing right now. A lot of people are talking about these deregulations and stuff. And I guess there was a former Boeing employee who was basically a whistleblower. Yeah. And he was known for raising concerns about Boeing's production standards and basically just like talking about this stuff and like telling people, okay, this is what was happening, blah, blah, blah. He was found dead.
Yeah.
Apparently from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
That seems
suspicious.
That's suspicious
as fuck.
So this gentleman, Mr. Barnett, John Barnett, he worked for the plane company for 30 years.
More than 30 years.
More than 30 years until he retired in 2017. And he was a quality manager at the North Charleston plant, the factory that builds the 787.
Yep. In the days before his death, he had been giving evidence in a whistleblower lawsuit against the company. Sorry, I don't buy it. Self-inflicted?
That's fucked up.
God, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but come on now.
I know. Well, I mean,
it's giving Jeffrey Epstein.
It's giving like every whistleblower ever. Yeah. That's why it's so scary, guys. It's like
this is a thing.
You know, like even if you know your company's doing something wrong, and like it's so funny because like the ethos of many of these corporate companies are like, you know, you need to bring this to your leadership team and blah 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 blah. And it's like actually, if you do that, you can face all sorts of retribution. There was actually. Well, actually, I probably shouldn't talk about this in the podcast. I will tell you after.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I was like, there's, anyway.
Totally.
But there's certain things where it's like, you know, people that come forward with things like stories or whatever, like even if they're true and have merit to them, they actually end up being the ones getting punished.
Absolutely.
And a lot of companies, they have a whistleblower policy in place. Which is it's like that greenwashing. Like, it's like, is it actually real? Because if you were working at a company and you noticed that they're doing something really, really bad and illegal and you brought it up, I mean, you would probably get dismissed and you would probably get fired, like depending on the company. Right. And
I mean, and that's probably the best that could happen because this guy, and again, we don't know. Okay. It could be that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And I love how this BBC article literally says, in quotations, self-inflicted wound.
I know.
Because do we believe it? I don't know. The thing is, we know Boeing is in bed with the government.
Yes. But sometimes you have to look at what's going on, right?
Yeah.
It could be coincidence.
There's a term called Occam's razor or something. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's basically like, I think it's Occam's razor. I don't know if I'm saying it right. But basically, when you see a situation, you just take the most likely, most logical response. You look at the situation, you're like, this guy was giving evidence, or he had been giving evidence against the company. Yeah. And then suddenly he's dead from a gunshot wound. Occam's razor. Yeah. It wasn't self-inflicted.
Yeah. Well, and that's where like, you know, to this point, I mean, it could be. We don't know for sure, but you're right. When you look at a situation, you think, okay, what is the actual most logical thing? And if there's things like weird things that don't line up, like the fact that he was exactly like a few days prior is building a lawsuit case against this company and then all of a sudden dies of killing himself. Like, why would he be even going through this lawsuit if he was planning to kill himself in the first place?
I mean, there still is a possibility.
Of course.
But it's smelling very suspicious.
It's like that guy that was like looking up ways to like dispose of a body and then his wife went missing. It's like,
oh God.
Is it coincidence or what is the most logical explanation here? Like
it's pretty scary.
Yeah. It's bad.
They're very powerful, these people.
But then also, this doesn't look good on them either. The fact that the story broke, and now
but
this
at
is
the end
out
of
in
the
the
day,
public.
it's like they have so much power. Like, what do we do?
This is the scary thing. The scary thing with this is the more money and power you have, the easier it is to like, hire a hitman.
Yeah.
But also not only just hire somebody to do stuff, but like do it in such a way exactly that they can't trace it back to you.
Yeah. And do you know the story of like WikiLeaks and God, you don't know this? So back in like during the Iraq war, the whole war situation, I don't know the full details, but basically there was like, I think it was a website. It was basically a whistleblower website where WikiLeaks and the founder, God, what was his name? Julian Assange, who's the founder of WikiLeaks. And I think he was like Swedish.
Okay.
And he started this website where he was like, I don't know, publishing very bad things about what the U.S. government was doing in the Iraq war. Yeah. So basically like showing footage of like, horrible things that they were doing, right. War crimes upon war crimes and all of these awful things. And I can't remember exactly the details.
Yeah. And
he was like publishing these. And basically he like, I don't know, he got extradited from somewhere and like he definitely like he's still alive.
Yeah.
But I don't know, he can't go back to certain countries and he was like fully punished for what he did. And all he did was like be a whistleblower. And then this one person, I think this person, it's a transgender woman. At the time, they were not transgender or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a transgender woman. Her name is Chelsea Manning. And at the time, I think she used to be like Bruce Manning or something. I can't remember the name. She was like working in the U.S. Army or something. And she had also leaked some kind of information about the war and like what the U.S. government was doing. And it was, and then she went to jail for like quite a long time.
Yeah.
Because of leaking that information. So it's like, especially through government, it's like extra scary.
Yeah.
Because like,
Well, and I think again, like I said, like we're taking these institutions, these huge institutions at face value. I'm thinking
we're believing them.
Exactly. We're like, and I'm guilty of this. We're all guilty of this being like, oh yeah, like that big company or that government is always going to be acting in our best interest.
That's the assumption.
I know. And that's the flawed logic though.
Yeah. Especially when these companies we wouldn't think are acting in our best interest.
Right.
But the government should be, but then this is why money shouldn't be in government from corporations.
But also even going back to the corporations, you think, yeah, okay, but I don't believe that they're going to act in my best interest, but I do believe that they're going to abide to the law.
Right. That's the assumption.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I assume. I don't assume, like these companies are going to be doing what's best for me. They're going to care about their shareholders, but they're going to be acting, their operations are going to be acting within a realm of what's legal. Yeah. And that's an assumption that you can't make.
No, it's not.
Like you find out later, all this shit comes out about these companies, like these scandals, these fucking, and these people knew about what was going on, like all this shit. And you're just you're like, what the fuck is actually happening?
Oh God. Yeah, it's bad. It's pretty bad. So not only is Boeing trying to bribe the government essentially to decrease regulation, there's also like so much that this whistleblower guy was saying about what they were doing. So for example, he claimed that the tests on emergency oxygen systems due to be fitted to the 787 showed a failure rate of 25%, meaning that 1 in 4 could fail to deploy in a real life emergency. Yeah. 25%, guys. 1 in 4. Okay.
He said in some cases, substandard parts had even been removed from scrap bins and fitted to planes that were being built to prevent delays on the production line.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
No.
Can you fucking imagine? We are flying these airplanes.
I know. He said that blah, 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 blah. He had become concerned that the push to get the new aircraft built meant the assembly process was rushed and safety was compromised, something the company adamantly denied.
Oh my God.
Mr. Barnett said, of course, he alerted his managers to his concerns, but no action had been taken.
God.
Because the managers are probably like, hey, I get a bonus based on how many planes we make. We need to make the planes. We need to keep the company going. Like, we're getting pressure from the top. We need to increase share price. Who gives a fuck about this? Get this done.
My God.
Yeah.
It's so scary. Like, this isn't like a fucking, I don't know, dishwasher, facility. This is airplanes.
I know. 25% failure.
That's scary as fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, now it's just, I've seen people saying on social media now that they're avoiding the Boeing planes. And I'm like, how are you supposed to avoid Boeing planes? That's so tough.
Yeah, get this. So last week he gave, so at the time of blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, so last week he gave a formal deposition in which he was questioned by Boeing's lawyers before being cross-examined by his own counsel. He had been due to undergo further questioning on Saturday. When he did not appear, inquiries were made at his hotel. He was subsequently found dead in his truck in the hotel car park.
He was found dead in his truck in the hotel car park? Mm-hmm. Ding, ding, ding. Not self-inflicted.
Doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't sound like it. Again, why is he at a hotel? Why is he doing it in the, hotel car park? And speaking to the BBC, his lawyer described his death as tragic. I think that Boeing was like, "Oh, we're so saddened." Yeah,
they did say that. They were like, "We are saddened by Mr. Barnett's passing."
Are you?
And our thoughts are with him, his family, and his friends.
Are you saddened?
It's pretty scandalous, guys.
That is insane.
Like
I didn't know it was in his hotel car park.
Yeah, in his truck. And it was like literally the day before he was going to go for more like depositions and more questioning. And he just offed himself.
This is insane.
I know.
This is a conspiracy I can get behind.
Because the thing is, at the end of the day, for you to be because like we have to think about this guy's motive, right? Like if you became a whistleblower or you're trying to like whistleblow, first of all, you do have to have a certain level of I don't want to say confidence, but like you have to have a certain level of like
evidence.
No, what am I trying to say? Courage.
Yes. You
have to be courageous.
So much courage.
Exactly. Because you realize, as a whistleblower, you're like, I'm going up against a fucking huge corporation. You have to have a little bit of courage. You have to have a little bit of a vendetta almost to say, hey, you know what? I brought this up. This isn't safe for the public. And you become like, I don't want to say an unsung hero, but like in your mind, you're like, hey, I'm pulling this forward. I'm bringing this story to light.
It's a ton of courage.
So somebody that's in that situation, and again, guys, I'm just speaking from what I'm thinking, could not be, it could have been that he offed himself or not, right?
Right. So what you're saying is his character.
Exactly. I'm saying if you're taking so much of it, like
you're taking so much initiative.
You're taking so much initiative, so much of a stand.
Yeah.
You're on a vendetta, right?
Yeah.
You are on a vendetta at that point.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you know what? Because it takes a lot to even.
You're already putting your life at risk.
Exactly. Because you are putting yourself forward. Like I think about like myself. It's like, would I go to all that effort?
I know.
And a lot of people wouldn't, to be honest. You are on a vendetta at that point. So why would you then kill yourself right when your story's coming out?
Right before as well.
Exactly. It doesn't
add up.
When the math isn't mathing.
The math ain't mathin'.
Guys, it's very suspicious.
God, I feel so bad for him.
I know, it sucks.
God, and it's scary. And again, this is like scary to anybody else that wants to be a whistleblower.
Of course.
Because like you're right. It's like it takes a lot of courage. It is scary already.
To be in there in the first place.
Because like most of the time you think like, yeah, maybe the worst that could happen is that I'm fired or that, I lose my ability to work in this industry because nobody will hire me. Like that kind of stuff is very real. But imagine somebody just gets killed or potentially is killed.
Yeah.
In a hotel car. I'm sorry. In his car.
It's sounding very, very suspicious.
Very fucking suspicious.
Again, guys, we're not saying one way or the other, but we're adding up the facts here.
The fact that it was in public, the fact that it was the day before his hearing.
Yeah.
The fact that it was in his car, like, come on.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's crazy. So.
Oh God, that is terrifying.
It is. God damn.
Anyway. All right, guys. On that positive note.
On that positive note, guys, we're not saying you shouldn't be a whistleblower, but be very careful.
God, it's so scary.
I know, because anytime you put something forward against a corporation or like the government or anything that's happening, you're putting yourself at risk.
You're definitely putting yourself at risk,
which is fucking scary.
Oh God, you guys. Anyways,
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that episode. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Leave us some love in the comment section down below. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to hit that follow, and then you get updated as soon as new episodes go live. And of course, guys, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/the SaVeg Podcast. Link is in the show notes. and head over there for exclusive content. We do an exclusive episode every single month. All the content on there is ad free, and you get the episodes a week earlier than everybody else as well.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. I don't know if you mentioned it, but YouTube, subscribe. Yep. And we'll talk to you guys next week with more doom and gloom.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.